Hey everybody, it's Brian and I am back. A little disclaimer, just need to get this off my chest real quick. There was something said in one of the groups and I didn't appreciate it. I do not get free sequences from the people I interview. I do not get paid for this. I enjoy doing it. I love talking to people. I have a good time with it. So, with that, I've only gotten one free one, and that's only because I coined my snowflake tree after him. So it's the SRSF tree, the Simon Reed snowflake tree. So so he repaid me back with a sequence, but that is the only thing I've ever gotten from, and I don't ask anybody for anything. So I pay exactly what you guys pay. So with that, I am going to share my screen and we will get this rocking and rolling.
Once again, the Professional Triers Holiday Lighting Show has raised the bar, teaming up with another awesome sponsor, Zazzle, to provide you, our VIP listeners, with some cool, awesome, one-of-a-kind Professional Triers gear, including the Hot or Not shot glass, the Blinky Flashy Lowdown notebook, the Professional Triers Blinky Gear beer stein, the ever-so-popular David Peace Not a Vendor t-shirt, the must-have Robert Petty Make Rob Great Again t-shirt, the one-of-a-kind Jordan Nash
Do you like my decorations?
t-shirt, and of course the must-have Professional Triers Blinky t-shirt, and much, much more. You can even create your own one-of-a-kind Professional Triers gear. So go to trierswag.com, that's TRIERSSWAG.com, and get your Professional Triers gear today.
It's Blinky here. And now for the folks who brought you the Professional Triers. Hot or Not, X-Light Rundown, and Luminosity, the game show, we bring you Blinky Flashy Lowdown, a discussion about making your holiday light show go Blinky Flashy. Now here's your host, Ryan McVeigh.
All right, we are back. It is, are we third week? Third week in June, I think now. And hey, I got somebody that has been highly recommended from some very well respected people that I admire and respect in the community. He's been highly recommended to me, and I have Mr. Barry Wiles. How you doing, bud?
Good, Ryan. How are you?
I am doing
Thank you for
awesome.
having me on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm glad we finally connected. I was told about you, I think 2 months ago, and I had some stuff that I already wanted to do and get done first. And so now we're going to try to get back into the swing of things. Last month, I talked to myself for an hour and that was tough. I don't like doing that. I like talking to people and seeing what
Question
they're
is,
up
did
to.
you answer yourself, and did you get all your questions answered?
They were the answers that I expected I would come up with.
Well, there you go.
Does that make if I want the right answer, I just ask myself, right? So
Exactly.
oh shoot. So Barry, you have Sequence Solutions. That's sequencesol.com. All one word with the SOL on
Yeah, I
there.
tried solutions, but somebody actually had.
Uh-oh. Did I freeze or did you freeze? Uh-oh.
Had the rights to that. Am I back now?
Yeah, you're back. I'm sorry. So yeah, you froze, and I'm like, what do I do? I was getting ready to send you a message real quick.
Sorry.
I better put you on speed dial just in case. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got my phone next to me.
Okay, I don't know if it's my kids playing. Oh, geez, I think they're playing that. I don't know if I can say it. Can I say Fort Good Night game? So, so that might
Close enough. I know what you mean. I made my daughter stop streaming Netflix while I was doing this. So
yeah, I should have probably done the same thing. We haven't had, and I, oh my gosh, I am really testing my internet home. I don't even know what the word would be for it, but I put a USG and a 8 switch, 8, oh my gosh, some 8 switch with a long range access point in, and I'm supposed to be able to go in there and throttle down their internet and speed my internet up on my desktop, and I just haven't done that yet. So if there's somebody listening, shoot me a message and help me out with that. So.
There's enough IT people in the show. You know, a lot of the people I know seem to be IT people that gravitate towards the
Oh yeah, they're super
Christmas
smart.
lighting thing.
I'm always afraid to ask because I don't want to be that guy that's always, going to say Tom or Russell or one of those. I sent Tom a message that I had a question. This was quite a few months ago, and he was busy and stuff. And I said, it's about the Kubota tractor, not about lights. And he's like, oh yeah, hey, what's up? So I know he's busy. And, those guys, gosh, they probably get sick of just answering a million questions from, how many people do we have in this hobby? 12,000, 15,000 people,
Yeah.
and if they
But
all
you know what? I
go,
give them credit. They're always on the ball, especially Tom. I met Tom a couple of years ago, and I message him every once in a while. And, I think that's the great thing about the community in general.
oh yeah, yeah, super awesome people. So, I love everybody in this community. They're great. I'm working on another project, so I contacted somebody I'd never even met before last night, and he's like, I love Christmas people. So yeah, that's always fun. So anyways, I am so sorry. You got
Yeah,
to
it's good
stop
to
me.
know there's more. I mean,
Go ahead.
No, I enjoy it. Go ahead.
Oh no, you got to
No,
stop
I
me
was just
because
going
I'll
to
go
say,
off on
I've
a.
gone to the hardware store before and had people say, you're working on Christmas stuff in March. And it's like, there must be other people like me. So now there is. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, and it happens here, and they're like, "You're doing what?" And I'm like, "Okay, just go to my Facebook page and you'll see what I'm doing." So hopefully we don't have too much of a lag. I think I'm lagging somewhere. So, anyways, tell me about, because I noticed that when I was looking at your site and stuff, you do have a couple different layouts. So tell me about them.
Yeah. So in looking at the various people that do this and the various types of sequences out there, I was trying to kind of cover two ends because I think there's been a lot of people entering on what I would call the beginner and smaller display market. So I think that's really, really good for people who are starting. There's a lot of guys on that upper end that do a lot of the big stuff. So I was trying to kind of find a middle ground with the what I call the diamond layout that just starts to touch the high density props, but tends to stay still in some of the more classic. I mean, the trick, and I'm still learning, you learn from all the greats that have been out there, but the trick is to find a way to put a sequence out that people can hopefully map and not get so frustrated, but yet get something out of it that they enjoy.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And that's something that I brought
So
up.
so
There goes the lag again, I think. Sorry. That's something I've brought up before. Yeah, see, my internet connection is unstable. I should have yelled at my kids to get off their stuff. Um, uh, is with the new people coming into the hobby and having a smaller display, and then and building their display as they go each year, and then that opens them up to more sequences, maybe a little bit further down the road. So, and that's what I've always enjoyed, and I love seeing that from the sequence vendors that are out there that do that. So
yeah, it's and there's always that line, how deep do you go down into individual props and things to make it interesting for people. And I'm still experimenting with that. I've got a lot of good feedback from people that I've done work with and talked to. And when COVID came out, one of the first sequences I put out was actually the Here Comes the Sun. I put it out to the community as kind of a thank you for all the people in the community. It was I thought it was the right time, and it was nice to be able to get feedback from people. People sent me videos of it on their displays, and it was really fun to see that and see people say, "Hey, this is really neat. Thank you." And I think we needed that positive energy. with everything going on and unknowns that people were going through. So
Oh yeah, definitely. And you also done custom work for Tony. So, or how many do
so
you
I
have
did.
some?
So
Go ahead.
yeah, so I Tony actually, so one, as you were talking in the are there other people, I started off in Lightorama about 10 years ago, and I had done it for a while, and there was a guy who actually, I live in Land Lakes, Florida, so there was a guy, Mike, who actually had a website called Lando Lights, and found another guy. So it was kind of like, and he lived like right next door to me. So it was like, hey, there's two of us in the world. Um, that was before the social media and stuff got popular. But as I migrated through, about 4 years ago, Ed had put together this Florida group, and they had a get together, and I went down there and I met people, and it was fun to meet, a lot of fellow programmers and Christmas people, because there are others like us now. And I met Tony a couple of years ago. Went and saw his display because if you look at my website, one of the things that kind of drove me to start this was I lost my father and my mother-in-law to cancer 3 weeks apart. And unfortunately, my brother-in-law passed about a month ago.
Oh, I'm sorry about
So
that.
it was one of those things where, we're a pretty strong family, and my dad taught me how to woodwork, and you can see up on the shelves some of the games and stuff. Those were all made by my dad, so that's why I have them up, up on the wall. And I met Tony. He was posting these pictures about this train he was building. I'm going, this is really cool, watching him build that through the year and then actually get it on the track. So I said, I got to come see his show. So I drove down and met him in person and met his family, and great people, his dad. And, it was everything that I think the holidays are about, family and stuff. So we were at the Florida Mini. He goes, hey, Barry, I'm doing this kind of Disney themed thing, and nobody ever did You've Got a Friend. And I really want that in my show. Would you be interested in writing it for me? So I got together with him and put that together for him. And it's an honor for me because he's a great guy. And if you look at my display, I have the fan in my display. I'm actually will be building 6 of those at his place probably in 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully, to put in my own display. So,
Oh yeah. He didn't deliver.
but
I know who he just delivered to. Um, Sam, I think, is where he just took a bunch of them over to him. So, but yeah, that fan is
yep.
awesome. So
Yeah, they had to get together, I think, last
yeah,
weekend.
yep. Now, and I probably should back up here just a second, because of course I'm just trying professionally. But why don't
I
you
have
tell
my
me?
beer. I see Rob drink a lot of beer, so I'm assuming that's okay for these interviews.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I've been busy as all get out today, so I got a Java Monster that I'm drinking at 6 p.m. So, but why don't you tell me about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been doing lights, and let's actually probably should have started that route.
That's okay. So as I told you, my dad was in the Air Force. I actually grew up in Ohio. Have an engineering background. I don't do much of that anymore, so that's why I like the Christmas light thing. I was in the automation engineering business for quite a few years, and I met my wife, and she's a 5th generation Floridian. So she hung out in Ohio for a few years and then said, you know what, it's too darn cold here. Me and the kids are going back to Florida. You interested in going? Got outvoted, so I moved to Florida. And been down here for almost 20 years now. So I don't regret it. I hate the snow. So it's
it's not that
if you're getting,
bad.
well, you get real snow in Ohio. It's kind of like a wet, mushy. You can never go out and do anything.
Oh yeah, your shoes and socks are soaked before you get off the
Right.
sidewalk. Yeah.
So if it's snow, I'm okay with it. But what we had in Ohio is not real. Depends on the season. But so I started Christmas lights, like I said, about 10 years ago. I live in a gated community, so I don't have a traffic problem for my display. It's almost like invite only, other than my neighbors.
Oh wow.
So we they had a Christmas contest every year. So I saw this stuff. I saw a video somewhere, and I said, I'd like to try it. And I had a neighbor, like if I put out one snow globe, he'd put out two. He was that guy.
I'm the one upper.
Yeah, the one upper. So I said, well, I don't think he could do this. So we did it. I bought a couple control boards from LOR, did a lot of research, bought some plastic snowmen, cut them up and wired them, and made a little display. And thinking back on how simple that was, people were oohing and on. So Halloween came around the following year. People would come by and say, hey, are you going to do it again? I got family coming in from Texas. I want them to see your display, and the pressure's on, right? And of course, you can't just do what you did last year. So you add and you add. And then when Pixels came out, I was like a deer in the headlights. So I bought a couple of CCRs for those who are LOR people. And then, and I was actually ahead of my time on Coro. So one of the rules my wife had was the display can't look bad in the daytime. I don't want it to be, I don't want it to look like a junkyard or.
Right.
So we actually, I made a lot of props out of Coro and drilled and put pixels in them, or lights at the time on some of them, because we were still incandescent. And so we had dolphins, we had wired palm trees, flamingos, and we still kind of have that on our display. We tend to be a little more of a beach display than a true, northern holiday display. So I have surfboards. If people have seen my display, I have singing surfboards. And
you got to match the area you're in, of course.
you gotta just be a little different. So, but yeah, so that's kind of it. I enjoy it. It's my way of still doing some technical stuff, and I like. There's nothing better, and this, when people come by your house and the kids are out dancing and people just say, hey, I really enjoyed it. It's a great experience. That's kind of why we do it. Christmas to me was always about family and being together. I travel a lot, so being home during the holidays is important to me with my family. I mean, my kids are a little older now. They're 19 and 22. My son's actually in Estonia right now going to grad school, of all places. So.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that's kind of the, I guess, 2-minute version.
Well, I'm making notes. I'm gonna make the Montanans up here, or Montanidans, because it's commonly referred that in the hobby is where I'm at, is Montanida. But I'm gonna make them think I lost my rocker. I'm gonna do surfboards and some palm trees in my
There you
display
go.
next year. So we'll give them a
Just
beach.
throw them off.
All right. More custom work for James. He's gonna love it.
Montana's, I think, one of only 6 states I haven't been to yet. So.
Oh man, you got to
the
come
rest
up
of them
here,
covered.
especially in the spring. You got to come up here. I mean, actually, probably mid-July, early July is about the best time to come up, because the fires haven't started in the mountains yet, unless campers are being irresponsible again. But the road going to the Sun Road through Glacier National Park is just absolutely gorgeous. It'll make the hair on your back stand up on part of the roads, and you're riding in a big old, I think they double decker buses. I haven't been in one in probably 12 years because I just take my truck. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty awesome. So, and just the crystal clear water that you would ever see. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I saw the fish that you posted today, so I'm already. I love the fish, so it's. From what I understand, you guys got great fly fishing and stuff up there, which I haven't done in a long time. But hey, I'm willing to go back.
Yeah, I live about probably 4 miles from a blue ribbon trout river.
Wow,
So, and
that's awesome.
We get a lot of people. There's a outfitter that's about 20 miles away down the river, I guess up the river, and they have people all over the world come and pay big bucks to fish in there. You got a guide that does the river boat for you. Not an airboat, it's paddle boat, but it's awesome. My wife, God bless her, she got me a fly rod, a real nice fluger set and reel and everything, and I went out and I fished the river all day. Finally caught a rainbow I think all the way up at the dam, and I put the fly rod down and I grabbed my spinning rod and I caught about 6 more trout that day. So I haven't picked up my fly rod since. I would snap off. I did it too fast. I would whip it. I would lose more flies behind me.
Yeah,
So my running joke that I would always say is I'm not old enough to fly fish yet.
exactly.
So I love my
It's
spinning
fun to
reels.
do once, and then you kind of get over it. I mean, there's people that really enjoy it, and that's great. You know, I got no problem with that. Just I'm with you. Give me a casting reel, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel a little bit better.
I'm a spinner guy. I love my open face spinning reels, and the carp that I caught was actually on my daughter's pole. That's about 5 foot high. I think it's 5'5". It's got a Zebco 202 reel on it with 10-pound tests.
Ooh, wow.
And when my wife said I need help, I'm like, holy cow, she's about 50 feet away from me. So I had to run over there because she set the hook. I mean, she'll rip the lips off a fish.
Oh,
Setting the
wow.
hook. So it wasn't coming off unless the line was snapping. So, but yeah,
Well,
that was a lot of fun. I mean, and they're you don't eat them or anything, and we just threw them back. I think she was full of eggs, is the reason why her belly was so big and
could
heavy.
be.
That's probably the heaviest, longest fit. Well, other than northern pike, but girth wise, it was she was a fatty. So, but anyways, I think we're here to talk about you.
Well, I think we just changed the fishing show, right? So there we go.
You
So
gotta stop me. I will go off and talk. We'll make this a 2 hour show. People are gonna be like, "Oh my god, dude, shut up, move
we're
on."
gonna have to put segments. We're gonna talk fishing and then lights and then fishing again. So because I can talk both either way. So I'm happy, you know.
So you said earlier CCR for the old
Cos-
timers. I'm not an
yep.
old timer in the hobby, so what is that?
So that is a cosmic color ribbon from Lightorama. So that was the first pixels I ever got into. They were LED strips that hooked up to a special little box, and then you'd hook that up on your network. And so I had bought a couple of those. People were making mega trees out of those.
Oh, okay.
Some of the first mega trees were, the ribbons. I think they became even more popular than the bullet pixels from at the beginning because I think they were easier to make. I'm not 100% sure, but that's kind of what I got into first, and then bought some bullet pixels and said, no, this is a lot easier to deal with. But I still do both. I do strips on the trim of my house. I know there's a lot of people that, when they say strips, they get away. But I've mastered the soldering and the connectors and the
Oh
so
yeah, that's
I'm okay.
yeah. There's people that like, don't you dare touch a strip. Then that, oh my gosh, the video that Tom Bitgeorge did with this is what you do with strips when he swept it off into the trash
Yeah.
can. I'm like, and I'm like, man, I just won some of them at a mini.
Yeah, I gave him a little bit on that one. So it was I said, oh, come on, man, that's hitting below the
little
belt a little
harsh.
bit. But
Oh shoot! But yeah, there's some
I think
people that
this
love
I
them.
think the no strip argument is like the 5 and 12 volt argument. I think it's a very divisive you know
Yeah. So are you all 12-volt then?
yeah, I'm a 12 volt guy. The only 5 volt supply I'll have is I actually got in the mail my first Falcon controller. So I'm not sure if I can do that or not.
Oh,
But
I don't care. I don't know. Yeah.
I use I use some others but it's 5 volts. That's my only thing is they have to have a 5 volt supply, so I had to buy one.
Oh, for the 48.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. So
because I
yeah,
didn't have a 12 volt supply
I bought a
or a
48
5
2
volt.
years ago, or when they first came out, and then that's when I was getting started. So I'm like, oh, I better get that. So I got it, and then it's been collecting dust until this year. I finally put it in a control box and put a 5 volt. I had a 5 volt for it, but so I clicked off of so going back, you looks like you're getting started, so you have about 6 sequences now.
Yeah. So what I was doing is I'm juggling. I was working on the stuff for Tony, and there was another thing I was working on for somebody that I'm kind of ghost doing that I'm sworn to secrecy on that I can't say anything about. But And then I'm converting a lot of the ones I've done a lot of different songs through the years. So I'm trying to pick some of those and work on them. But so I'm the oddball guy. I actually don't have a mega tree. So I'm learning the whole program, the mega tree thing.
Oh, I
And because
got
my
you.
yard is so small that if I put a mega tree in, that would be my display. Because my front yard's about 8 feet from sidewalk to the shrubbery. So
Oh, okay. I, I I am the total opposite.
yeah, I saw the pictures of yours. I'm like, yeah, you and I are opposite. I'd love to have. Trust me, my father-in-law is on 60 acres. It used to be orange trees until recently, and I'm like, man, I could do
Oh,
so much with this. And he does
yeah.
not like people, so the last thing he's going to let me do is put a light show on.
Wait, oh, can we go off on a little tangent? We were
Yeah, sure.
driving.
I'm. You know, that it's we've already done it. So
The kids and I were driving around. We were doing something. We had to go. I think my son's dentist appointment. My daughter wanted to ride around because they've been locked up in the house for, 6 weeks and stuff. And we're driving home, and I swear it was stupid person day on the road. I mean, there was just people doing silly stuff driving, and I said to myself, I said it out loud. I said, "Man, I hate people." And my daughter was like, "Dad, I have never heard you say that." And I was just like, that day I was having a not liking many people day driving driving around. So anyway, sorry.
now,
Um
I live in Florida. We get that every day. Unfortunately, the driving is very interesting in Florida at times. So
yeah. So your platinum display and your diamond display,
mhm.
what are the major different? Oh, I see it. Okay. So is
so
basically a go ahead.
so yeah. So if you look at the diamond, there's a couple things I do in that. If you look at the layout, I have 3 different types of matrices in there for resolution. So if you have P10 panels, I do programming for that. If you have a little more dense matrix, I have a matrix for that. Then I have a more what I call basic, which a lot of people might like a 40 by 32 size for some of the people that are beginning to maybe have a big matrix. And
Okay.
then same with the mega trees. I've got a 100 node megatree that's more dense and a 50 node megatree. And all of that is in the diamond sequences along with some other props. When you go down to the platinum, I give them the low resolution matrix and the low resolution megatree because most people starting out are going to be more in that range. The people that are just
Okay.
beginning to put something on their house. And then eventually I'll make the goal is the thing that I think is really cool about what's happening now is there's so many interesting props coming out. Now, as a sequencer, that's a big challenge though, because a lot of these high density props, it's like, which ones do you pick?
Hmm.
Because you have to, when you start providing sequences to the public, you kind of put your finger on the pulse and say, what are most people buying, right? So that's always the trick, and there's some really neat stuff you can do with the higher density props. So I could see making add-ons and stuff down the road. So if people buy a sequence and their display grows, I have a way to bolt on these things so that they can kind of grow their sequence.
Oh
Stuff that
yeah.
maybe they've already purchased, and try to come up with a little more economical way for them to grow as well. That's the footprint I'd like to have, once the foundation's put in first.
Once you get going, yeah, definitely. And I did notice on both, you have singing faces on both the platinum and the diamond. Is that going to continue
Yeah, I
as you
think the
go?
lyric tracks, I'm weird. I kind of like doing them. So,
Nothing weird about that.
and I've done them for all my songs because I've had singing elements on all of my, whether it be on a matrix or on a, I guess you'd call a more incandescent type of singing face with like the chroma bulbs or some of the other things and so I usually do it anyway. So I figure it's nice to be able to provide that to people. And I think we're, I was part of the Singing Faces group, and I have to do a QC, and then I'm going to recuse myself from it, because part of signing up on that is you can't. So one of my first sequences was actually Lost Boys cover by Marilyn Manson. I do not have the Singing Faces in that one because I provided those Singing Faces to the Singing Faces group. So that would have been in conflict of what I did there. So to honor that commitment to them, I said, okay, fine. I won't provide it, in the sequence to the customers, because I think that's only fair, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree. That's very respectable, very commendable.
So,
So yeah.
So yeah, that I plan on continuing to do that. It's sometimes that's fun because it's I don't want to say it's mindless work, but it's easier than when you're sequencing and you run into a rut, because you're like, I've got a section of a song right now, I can't get it. I just can't get a feel for it. I put some stuff in, I'm just like, don't like it. Start over.
Oh man, really? Oh,
So
that's like missing a hole in a prop.
it is.
when
It
you're
is.
when you're 200 pixels in.
I've done that.
Everybody's guilty of that. So.
I did a spinner and didn't find it until like 200 and something. It was like the third pixel I put on, and there was I almost was going to go the opposite and cut the pixel out at the front.
Oh,
but
right.
I didn't, because I had already put a connector and everything on it. So I said, I'll just pull it out and redo it. So
No kidding. Yeah, see, that's how long do you sit there and look at it? Well, am I just going to cut and splice one in? Oh yeah, that's tough. That's hard to do.
So, and I could see I think I'm trying to keep, I added a couple things lately, and then I'm trying to keep things solid for at least going into the season. The goal is, to have several things in place going into late summer, because that's really when people start ramping up for both Halloween and Christmas. So,
yeah.
And then, I think, and I actually watched one of your webcasts. I think it was in the coverage of the various sequencing vendors. And I think one of the great things is when you have multiple people out there, we all kind of have our unique MO, I guess I would say. Like if you look at sequences, especially the guys who've been in it for a while, I can tell who's written what, just because they have kind of their own flow, and they have their own
like their own fingerprint, their own DNA.
Yeah. So, and I think what's cool for people is, even if we all have a similar song, is you run your display for a month, it's not bad to be able to have maybe 2 or 3 versions of a song to put out there in front of people. Because I have a lot of people that see my show every night. They bring their kids in because their kids are like, Dad, you got to stop and look at the house. So I'm sure the parents like it. I try to mix the songs up a little bit so that there's something new in there every week, so that they have something to look at. So and then I also think it pushes all of us, right? Because you'll see a sequence and say, wow, that is really cool. And I think it helps you up your game, and it puts a better product out for everybody.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree 100%. And it's funny you mentioned every sequencer has their own, DNA or their own fingerprint with the sequence, because Tom Bitgeorge, he put a video out of 4 vendors of the same song, and it was a totally different look for each of those vendors, which I think is good, is awesome, because I mean, I love TSO. It's upbeat. It gets going. It gets the people, the onlookers going, and I can have, and I'm gonna, oh my gosh, I'm gonna brain fart the one I have, but I have like 3 different versions of it, and I'll do it on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yes, the same song, but when they're out there looking at it, they're like, that's different. And that's what's cool. And and I have people on my Facebook page, and they'll comment on, oh, I love the rhythm on this one, the beats, the lights were specific for the beats, and it's awesome, and I love that. So, and I will continue to use multiple different vendors for my display, even if it is the same song, because it's a different look on my house.
Right. Yep.
So
Yeah, and I think that's the fun part, and there's a lot of people that enjoy sequencing, and there's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of guys that just like to play with the technology and put it together. And so I think it's great that there's a great mix out there. And I got to have dinner with Tom. Luckily I travel all around the country, so when I travel, I try to see who's in what area, so you can kind of meet some people. And had dinner with Tom, and he's just a great guy. I mean, that guy, they've had a rough couple of months with his wife and the surgery, and he's just always upbeat. And it's just, he those are the people I enjoy. I got to see Tony. We went to the filming of Tony on Great Christmas Light Fight, and met a lot of people down there. It's just like, it's just the people in the community. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their thing, and I just enjoy this a lot. So, but Tom, he's a great guy. And like you said, you can put a song up and look at it 4 different ways, and you can tell who's kind of got their own, hand on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. And I just posed a question here the other day to somebody I was talking to, because if it's the same song and the same timing, I have 3, I'm going to say upright mega trees, and then 1 laying down mega tree. That's a special project that I'm doing. So 4 mega trees essentially. So if it's the same timing, the same song, why can't I take that mega tree effects from one vendor and put it with the song of another vendor? Not that I would share it, with
Sure.
the
But if
community,
you
but it
own
would
it,
be,
you can combine
yeah,
them.
yeah, it would be, for my onlookers out there. So it wasn't the same mega tree, the same effects on a mega tree, 4 different areas,
Right.
and that's so. And I kind of posed that, hey, why not? And they're like, yeah, you can do it. So I'm like, sweet.
Yeah,
I think I
usually
might
what'll
do that.
happen is color scheme. So like when you're writing a sequence and you have like the mega trees and stuff, someone may have a different color scheme than the whole. I'm a visual kind of person, so I have no
Oh yeah,
musical talent whatsoever. Like some of the programmers out there, are ex-musicians. Tom, he writes music, right?
right.
And I'm completely opposite. That's why I love Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It was the first one. Wizards was the first one I did,
Mm.
because on Lightorama, I knew when to turn the lights on and off, man. You just follow the beat, and
Boom, boom.
life is good,
Yeah.
So I'm learning, I'm learning,
Well, if
but
you
yeah,
have,
no, you could take 4 different, as long as it's the same song. It should have the same beat structure, and you should be able to integrate it any way you want.
oh yeah, if you're not learning, you're not living. I mean, that's just plain and simple. Hopefully, everybody knows that. So I mean, that's my thinking on it, anyways.
And look, some
I'm,
of the best things you learn are by making mistakes or trying something different. And
yeah.
every once in a while I get bored, I'll just throw an effect on something and then start messing around with stuff. And it's like, this looks really bad. And then you'll tweak one thing, and all of a sudden, it kind of like, hey, I might be able to use that.
Yeah, well, that's what actually got me looking for sequence vendors, is when I was getting into the hobby, because I was following Kenna Spader Christmas, Jeff's YouTube
Yep.
and all that, and he was talking about sequences, and and then I only had, say 15 props, whatever it was. So,
Mm.
do the auto generate, highlight it, and do the auto generate, and this is a hot mess.
Yep.
So I'm just like, you know what? I tried to go through the song and tap the T for the timing marks, and I would get off, and I'd crap, and I would leave a pause, and then I would try to get back. I'm not rhythmic at all. My wife yells at me for that. It just, I I can't do it. There's these groups that put out, effects for the month and stuff, and I'm just like, nope. Unless I'm gonna throw it on something else where somebody already has timing marks already set for me, and I'll play with a little bit when I map. I think I'm a pretty good mapper, and that's all I want to do is map.
Yeah.
For you guys that do it, I mean, just it just more power to you, and hopefully I'm not alone on this, but yeah, I can't do it. No way. I've tried when I first got started. I haven't tried in a while, but with the stuff I have now, I definitely don't think it'll work.
But I think, I think as your show gets bigger, it gets more difficult because it even gets hard, you know, writing sequences on a day-to-day or a weekly schedule there are challenges because when you start adding, like I said, the high density props, the Reese, or you're talking about having multiple mega trees or something, you want to do something unique for everything. And that's where the challenge comes because it's like, okay, what do I want to present, in the sequence? So
Yeah.
I thought it was really neat when I did the one for COVID. The song I chose, it had a 60s vibe. So usually when I listen to a song, I'm like I said, I'm visual. So I kind of have a picture of how I want to do it. And somebody messaged me back and said, wow, that had a real 60s feel to it. And I'm like, that was awesome because that's what I was going for, right? I was kind of trying to keep that, that 60s vibe in that song just because it's for, kind of when it came about, late 60s, early 70s. And so when people get it, that's really neat because I was like, okay, maybe I'm not the only weirdo that sees this and people are just going, what was he thinking,
Well, see, and that's funny you say that because that's what was going to be my next question was how do you determine your color palette that you're going to use for that song? So you kind of see the shades or the lights that you want to do as you're listening to the song then, and then go from your color palette from there.
Yeah, it's like I'll listen to a song and you kind of you try to get a feel for what it is you really want to present or kind of the story you want to tell because it's hard to just walk into a song and say I'm going to sequence a song and just kind of start throwing things in it. So I'll listen to it for a few times. Sometimes I'll watch the music video. In Toy Story, it was really neat because when Tony and I talked, Tony said, "Look, because we have season passes to Disney as well," and he goes, "I really want that feel of Toy Story Town at Disney." So I knew exactly. So the piece, if you look in that video of that song, you will see color blocks that kind of rotate and fall in. When you walk into Disney, Woody's standing there, and under Woody's name it says, I think, Toys R Us Town or something, and it's in wooden blocks. So that's kind of that. And then it's like, okay, what color palette are the wooden blocks? There's the red, the blue, the very primary colors. So most of that display are very primary colors. Or if you look at the Marilyn Manson one, it is very dark purple, red. Lost Boys. It was a dark movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you kind of get a feel for where you want to be.
Cool. Right on. Again, going back to Sequence Solutions, sequencesol.com. Now you are doing a pre-order for a Frozen 2, looks like Into the Unknown. Are you going to be having more of those coming out? As far as like a pre-order?
Like I said, yeah, sometimes what'll happen is somebody will say, hey, I'm looking for a particular sequence. So what I'll actually do is I'll talk to them and I'll say, look, if I'm going to put it in my store, it's different than if I'm going to do it, custom to where you're just writing it for somebody and they don't want you to share that with anybody. So I had somebody who was interested in that song and we talked a little bit about it, and they actually are putting Tony's fans, and he says, are you going to have those in it? Because I haven't seen anybody with that sequence with that in it. So I put it up, and a few people have been interested in doing it that way, and so I will probably continue it as I go.
Cool. Okay, so with the custom work that you do, are you still taking orders, being that it's mid-June? Are you still taking orders for?
Yeah, and some of it's on timelines, and I had somebody actually approach me that wanted me. I don't want to do any of the hardware stuff. Some of the guys like, Clyde and those guys who do the whole ball of wax. I'm not interested in the hard. When you start getting into hardware, you got to be there, and there's just a lot more to it. So I strictly just want to, do the sequencing. So, I think we're early enough now. Still, you're running into, depending on the size of a display and what needs to be done, I think there's still quite a bit of time to get what needs to be done. And
Okay.
It's a balance, right? Because if you load up on custom work, you're not doing what you want to do,
Yeah.
for your. And then I have a day job, so this isn't, I do this for, for fun, and I
The
do it for,
extended.
trying to raise some money for charity, and plus I just enjoy it. I sit in hotel rooms a lot, so it's a great thing to have, when you're traveling on the road. It's something that you can
Oh
do.
heck
So
yeah! I used to travel a lot as well, and the hotel room would get super quiet because I'm not a huge TV person, and I mean what I do watch is mainly
no,
off my DVR.
yeah.
So I definitely
Well, and then you're
understand
just
that.
doing work. So when I started doing my own, sequencing, and I was like, it just gives you something to do to break up the monotony. And, because when I'm on the road by myself, I'm not adventurous. I mean, I have no desire to go run out and go see stuff. I go to Asia once or twice a year, and people are like, oh, that's gotta be really cool. And it's like, even if you get to go to see something like the Great Wall, you're there by yourself. So it's like, okay, I saw the Great Wall, but you don't
Yeah.
really, when you're with the family, it's different, right? Because you can share the memory with people. And it's not that I don't mind being able to do that. I've been very fortunate that way
Mhm.
to meet a lot of great people around the world and see things. But
Yeah.
it's been nice being home for about 6 weeks. I get on my first airplane next week. So
Oh
after
geez,
about
the
2 months. So
not into the petri dish. So gosh,
yeah,
yeah. We're supposed to be in Kansas right now because but we canceled those because we didn't know where it was going to go, so we canceled the
yeah,
tickets on that as well. So yeah, we're trying to find other stuff to do and stuff to do we didn't get done last summer. We're trying to do this summer. So, and I'm back to reworking the 4-wheeler course for the kids. And hopefully the adults too when we get our 4-wheelers, just the cheapos. But so if you are looking for custom work, Barry is open. How long do you think you're gonna be able to take on custom work, or just kind of all depends on what comes in?
yeah. I think it's going to be what they're expecting. Timelines, and if it's Halloween versus Christmas. I mean, most people are doing Christmas. We're moving the Christmas stuff, but um, there was somebody that was actually doing some work at a haunted theme park, but I was kind of the backup, and I said, look, if this other person's available, go for it. So they went ahead and went for it. But so yeah, there's a link on the website. I usually collect the info, kind of what they're looking for, and then I'll reach out and touch base with them and talk to them, and see how, what's needed. And usually what happens is, in talking to most of the people who have done this for a while, it ramps up. Like August, people are like on the phones because everybody's backed up at that point. Everybody's got work, and they're trying to stay on top of it. And there's people saying, hey, help, I need this or need that. And then it's like, you know it becomes a little bit of a fire drill. So
Oh yeah. So I am going to share again. I'm going to hurry up and get our commercial in before I forget it. Pause.
yep.
And then I'll share a screen real quick. We'll get this and then we'll go into some closing comments and remarks. How's that?
Okay.
So I'm trying to do all this so Keith doesn't have to edit and get it out. So here we go.
Once again, the Professional Tryers Holiday Lighting Show has raised the bar, teaming up with another awesome sponsor, Zazzle, to provide you, our VIP listeners, with some cool, awesome, one-of-a-kind professional Tryers gear, including the Hot or Not shot glass, the Blinky
Oh,
Flashy Lowdown notebook, the Professional Tryers Blinky Gear Beer Stein, the
all right. So hey, that was fun. There's the commercial. I'm just gonna stop
there's
it.
there's the edit.
Yeah, doggone it. So yeah, we'll see if Keith wants to throw it in there or not. I should have let it brought it up and buffered before I started sharing, but you know what? We try, right?
We did.
All right.
Well, I did go out and buy my professional triers shirt last week. It just didn't get here in time. So
Oh, that's right. Geez, almost. And I was going to bring that up too. I didn't have it on my notepad. So I see this is what happens when I don't write stuff down. But yeah, we're still having the contest. Submit your photos on the Facebook page, Professional Triers, with your Zazzle gear, what you wear or whatever while you're listening or watching the podcast. So don't forget to go to Zazzle.com or trierswag.com, I think is the one. Should probably finish that commercial now that it's buffered. And then get your stuff, get a picture, and send it in. So anyway, okay, there's the commercial. We don't
I'm a
need to
good
keep...
I'm a good setup man for you.
There you go. That works perfect. Now I lost my train of thought. Where were we going? Back to the okay, so Sequence Solutions, sequencesol.com is where you need to go. Check out, see what Barry's got going on. More stuff up and coming. What are you working on coming up other than the Frozen into
So
the
I've
unknown?
got one coming out for Halloween. It should be available maybe in about a week and a half. I'm not going to release the name of it yet, just because.
You saw that look on my face, didn't you? What is?
So yeah, it's kind of, you try to do a mix. I'm trying to do, kind of alternate, because there's a growing Halloween market out there.
Oh yeah.
More and more people are definitely doing dual displays, and there's not a lot of Halloween stuff out there. So I'm trying to do some of that work, and then just keep moving forward. And I've got quite a song list. Some stuff I liked, some I didn't. That I did sequences for. So I'll go back and look at that. And then as new music comes out, I've got a couple of long range plans I want to do for kind of non holiday type stuff. But
Right.
there's always that song you listen to and you say, that would look really cool on the light show. Maybe run it on New Year's Eve or something.
Right.
A couple of classics I'd really like to do someday, but I want to get the foundation in place first. So we'll see what
So I'm going
happens.
to throw this out there because I love doing this after, Christmas, and then from Christmas to New Year's, I throw some Christmas in and some other, but I like to run until the first weekend in January. So I run it a
Mm-hmm.
little bit longer, depending on how it falls. I may do a whole week in January
Mm-hmm.
to the next weekend with non-Christmas music. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been kind of collecting. I like classic rock music. I've been collecting some sequences that I do like, and I put that on my display for that, the last week, first week in January type show. So, oh shoot, you're frozen on my end.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there you are. Okay,
A couple of
sorry,
things that'll
you were frozen for a
okay.
second.
I said, so you might like one or two of the things that I'm going to try to get done by the end of the year. So we'll just leave it at that.
Sweet. Love it. Okay. Richard Wren likes to send me short little teaser videos. He's like, "What do you think of this?" And I'm like, "Dude, I won't use the language I use, but it's pretty
I'm sure
sweet."
there'll be a couple of songs that I'll do that probably no one else will like, but it's like, I wanted to do it, so I'm going to do it for me. And so you
Oh,
never know.
man, share it. Those are the ones I like. The off the wall. I mean, if somebody comes out with some mamas and papas, I'm all for it. I mean, that's going a little older than classic rock. That's into the oldies, but still good music, good stuff.
Some of those get harder to do. It's some in writing a sequence, the challenge is if it doesn't have a really strong like bass beat or it gets it when you get into these more flowing songs, it takes a lot more creativity to kind of make things flow and work. So,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not a musician. The music guy is Tom and Ron, and those guys are all masterminds of the sequence world, right? So
Oh yeah, the
I
experts
bow to
definitely.
their musical talent because I don't have it.
Oh shoot, yeah, that's that. it's very impressive what you guys do. So it's, I mean, and that's it, if
It
I
does
click
take
on it.
time. I mean, I always tell people I probably average about 10 to 12 hours per minute of music sometimes. And the sad thing is last year I had a sequence and I really liked it. And I had this like 5 second, and I'm not a whole house fan. Okay. That to me, and like people do different things. To me, that's phoning it in, putting the the fan on the whole house. But it was the right time. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it because that fits that little gap. I
Yeah.
think everybody came to me and said that was the best part of the song. It was like the least imaginative, and yet everybody liked it the most. So it's like, all right, well, maybe I should just do a whole song with the fan effect on and see what happens. So.
No, no, please don't. Short little, I mean, when it's called for, when it's needed, a chorus
Yeah.
or something, yeah, it works perfect. I love it. Yeah, please don't do the whole song.
But like I said, the viewer, it's just funny, the viewer, people who don't know what we do, right? I mean,
Mm,
that's, part of it is we're writing it for them, right?
yeah.
But I also write because I want people who are in the community to look and say, hey, that was kind of neat how you did that.
Mhm.
We all, there's a lot of people I respect, and I look at stuff and say, wow, how did they do that? That's really cool. And,
Yeah.
so those are those aha moments that keep you going, I guess.
Get you in there playing with it. And if I do the shader here and then do the other stuff here, how does it blend? Yeah.
Yeah.
Value curve.
Throw a
That's what
couple
I
of
was trying
value
to think
curves in
of.
there, and
Yeah.
there you go. Yep. And I would
Shoot.
say too, I have a Facebook page, and I try to get back to the community. So I'm trying anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks of just putting some tip videos out, kind of showing how I do some of the things. One guy on our Pixel pushing, where the guy had a model and he said, I pushed the pixels in wrong. What do I do? So I actually did a video to show him how to renumber the model and make it work so he didn't have to repush all the pixels. So
Yeah.
and a lot of the other sequencers do that too. And I think that's important, in the community to help people come along and learn.
Yep. And I think I just watched yours here a couple days ago because I had it pop up on my phone. Um, but even if it is done before, a year ago or whatever, from another sequencer or from another person, I'm a visual learner. Repetitive learner.
Hmm.
So, if you explain it one way and I'm like, I'm just really not getting it, and research it a little bit more, and somebody else or vice versa, and you listen to it
Hmm.
again, maybe explained a little bit different, and you're like, oh, there's the head slap. Now I get it. So it's
Right.
always good. You get a different perspective, you get a different view on it, you know, or something's highlighted a little bit better. So, and I do love that. So I love those tips.
Well, and X-Lights evolves, right? I mean, what was true a year ago, there's a lot of new features in. So, being able to add those features, and the last couple revisions, X-Lights had some really awesome stuff in it as far as modeling and being into import submodels. And there's a lot of things that's going to make it easier for the users down the road to
Yep.
use people's sequences and not have to worry about going in and doing all that extra submodeling and everything, because they can kind of import it in.
Yep. Oh, and I love that where you can switch from displays a lot easier. Um,
Yep.
I can't remember what he called it. You know what I'm talking about. I can't remember what it's called.
Temporary, yeah, the temporary review versus permanent. So of
Yep.
course I actually filmed my video on how to set the sequence up to map into my thing, and Keith released that, and I had to go back and reshoot it.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's constantly changing. So it's technology. So, as long as somebody can write it, it can change. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Because I
that's
just think it's
cool.
important to give back. I learned a lot from people. People spent a lot of time with me, helping me. So I think now it's time. It's when people get on Facebook and the same questions every year, I don't mind that. The whole 5 versus 12, or you
Mhm.
know, do I power inject or not? How many pixels? Because these are people that are new, that are coming in. They don't have the history. They don't have the
Yeah.
so it's okay,
Yeah. And it only
because they're the
takes,
future of this hobby.
yeah. And it only takes a few minutes to explain it out for them.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate because nobody knows everything. So, even what do we say? Even the greats ask questions,
Oh yeah.
so it's out there. It takes, 2 minutes to give them an honest response to the question they're asking if you know the answer. So, and I love that. I love to see the participation in all the groups for that, um, and getting a good solid answer from them. There was one that was asked this morning, I think, and I'm like, ooh, I should hit following on that, but I'll go back and research it later because I didn't have the answer for it, but I'd like to know the answer for it. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, Barry, man, it has been awesome talking to you. I've had a great time. Anything you want to follow
You
up with?
too.
I think
Thank
I've
you.
already asked you once, but
No, I appreciate you having me on. I think it's great. I watch your podcast, so it's kind of neat watching the other interviews because there are real people behind what's going on, and it's a great community. I mean, I meet somebody new all the time, and it's great to stay in touch with people. If you
oh
ever
yeah,
come to Florida, let me know, man. We'll go fishing. Although you
hey,
may get ruined. You may get ruined because the stuff you catch in the ocean can pull you off the boat. So
and I've had two opportunities to go deep sea fishing. When I was stationed in New Jersey, I got offered a trip down to Myrtle Beach, South
yep,
Carolina.
South Carolina,
Yeah.
right on the border, actually.
Okay. So yeah, I got invited to do a fishing trip down there, and something else came up. I didn't make it. Then there was another opportunity, and I just kicking myself in the butt. I have very few regrets in my life. I've had a really good, fun life, but that
Mhm.
is one of them with not making it out deep sea fishing. I'm just like, "Ugh." So it's
You'll
on the
get
bucket
there
list, I guess.
as the kids get older, and they can tolerate a bigger trip, like being out there. You'll do
I
it.
ain't taking them.
Okay.
Oh, better not say that too loud. Of course, I would take them.
Dad needs his
Anyway,
time. No, I appreciate it. And then I guess the only other thing I would say is just keep an eye out on the Facebook page in July because sometimes, there's some interesting sales and things like that go on. So
sweet,
I'll leave that.
awesome,
I'll leave that as a close for the viewers because if you can get a sequence at a better price, I'm sure everybody's for it, right?
perfect. Okay, so this was Barry Wiles, Sequence Solutions, sequencesol.com.
Yes, I
Go
actually have
visit,
it on my shirt. How's
and
that?
there.
Am I allowed to?
Heck yeah,
It might be backwards. I don't
you
know.
should have been. You should have been having it up the whole time. So heck yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have been weird doing the interview like this because people would have been wondering what I'm doing, and
We'll see if they're
we
listening.
are an odd lot. So
So if you're listening and not watching, I know there's a few that uh, work on tires while they're listening to the podcast. So he's got a Sequence Solutions shirt on that he was holding up. So
yeah, my
like,
my
what
wife
the
actually
heck?
made this. She did a good job. It's got the color and everything, man.
Yeah, that's nice. That looks good. All right. Well, thank you, Barry. You have a wonderful night.
All right, thanks, Brian. I appreciate you.
Thank you, bud.